TP SW5G DBT. What is this guy all about?
Yeah, version of that. So it's a high power, double the wattage, so 140 watts.
Hey guys, Bruno here from Tycon Computers with another episode of Tycon Tuesdays. We got our friend Seth here from Tycon. How's it going, Seth?
Great. How are you doing, Bruno?
Pretty good, pretty good.
Good.
We're going over through some things here in the warehouse, and we came across some of these 5-port switches, and I wanted to give you a call, talk about it a little bit, get some explanation on it. What can you tell me about this guy here? We got a TP SW5G DBT. What is this guy all about?
Yeah. So that is one of our several 5-port gigabit switches, PoE switches. So this model in particular, and I'll run through a couple of the different PoE switches because they all look very similar, right? They have the same form factor. Most of them will have one PoE uplink with 4 PoE output. Others will have 5 PoE output. So this model in particular is very similar in the prefix as the others. It's TP for Tycon Power -SW switch, 5G, 5-port gigabit, and then the suffix is what's going to separate it. So this one is the -D-BT, which means that it is a BT input or 802.3 BT. If you've watched our previous videos, we talked about the differences between PoE. So what this will do is it'll take a PoE input of the 802.3 BT and then give you a 4 PoE output at 802.3 BT. So if you need your cable run of 50 meters, 100 meters, whatever you need, but you need several PoE output, you can plug this in and then power the different cameras, access points, anything that'll need 802.3 BT. Okay. Our most common part would be our -24. What that does is it'll take 9 to 36 volt DC input. So let's say you have a 12-volt battery bank or 24-volt battery bank. Yep, from the terminal block. Got it. It'll convert. Then you have the PoE input, right? The data input on the not PoE, I apologize, but data input on the front, and then that'll convert 4 ports to give you 802.3 AT. So now you have a 48 volt at 802.3 AT, the PoE standard, converting from 12 or 24 volt. So this one here, I guess that's the interesting thing. I mean, the form factor is, like you said, very similar, but this one here I'm looking at, so obviously it can take, you said, the BT PoE on the port 5, but then it can also just take straight DC on the back as well. Correct. Well, so yeah, exactly. So you can power it through the terminal block, right, for this particular model, because BT requires, or the standard is up to 90 watts, right? So if you're going to supply 90 watts, it's not going to create extra power, right? So what it'll do is it'll split between those ports. And if you have a couple ports that you need 30 watts or 35 watts, you can do that and it'll spread it out for what you need. But if you need more power, then you can use one of our PSDIN power supplies, provide it with 240 watts. And now you have 802.3 BT up to 240 watts to spread between those ports. So yeah, you can power it. It's very versatile. You can power it with the PoE input or the terminal block on the backside.
Okay. So you mentioned the -24 is very popular. What else do you guys have that's pretty popular in this this model line?
So the -24 is up to 70 watts, and we noticed that some of our customers needed a little bit more power. So we designed the 24 HP version of that. So it's a high power, double the wattage, so 140 watts. We also have the SW5G-NC. NC stands for non-compliant. Now, non-compliant, just a fancy way of saying passive. So input voltage on the back, whatever you're supplying is what your PoE output will be on the front. So if you're supplying with 24 volt DC input, you'll get 24 volt PoE output. Same thing, 48 volt. That is going to be just a passive 48 volt, right? Not going to be a standard. My favorite switch, though, that we'll talk about is the -Versa. Okay, and it's short for versatile. So what this switch does, it'll take 48 volt input, and it'll give you, because a lot of the designs that we've talked about, it's never just one voltage, right? It's a mixture. All the different manufacturers have their preference on voltage inputs. So you might have an access point from Ubiquiti that's 24 volt PoE, right? And then you might have a couple security cameras on that are 802.3 AT, or maybe even a high PoE at 60 watts. So we designed the Versa switch, and what that does is it'll convert from the 48 volt. It'll give you one PoE output at 24 volts, 3 ports at 802.3 AT, and then a high PoE or a 60 watt. And then we have our Versa-BT, which gives you a same first 4 ports, so 24 volt passive, 802.3 AT, and then give you a 90 watt output from that last one. So that's going to power something like your high power PTZ camera, right? Or your high power access point that just requires a lot of power, a lot of juice to power it. And so that's why I like the Versa switch, because it is so versatile to work with most applications. Now, all of these switches are unmanaged, right? So there's no GUI interface. You supply the power, but you don't need to configure anything. You've just got your data input, PoE output.
Okay, very cool. So definitely a lot of different options. I mean, the main thing to look at here is the power options that are available for each of these switches. Now, you said these are unmanaged, but do you guys have any managed switches like this as well, or any coming up?
Absolutely. We have several managed switches. I think we should save for another video, because there's a lot of in-depth conversation we can have for our managed switches.
Cool.
And we're excited to announce or release 2 new managed switches that are going to be coming probably mid-June. So maybe we save that for another video. I think that's going to be a very popular switch in the market.
Okay, very cool. We'll keep everybody in suspense until then.
That's right.
Well, very cool. Seth, as always, thank you so much for your time, man. This is super helpful for us to get a understanding of these different switches and part numbers you guys have. And I'll continue reaching out to you, man, whenever I get any questions.
Great. Sounds good. Thanks, Bruno.
Awesome. Thanks, Seth. See you guys. Hey, guys, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you can get the latest from Flight Tech. Thanks.